topic I'd like to get into a little bit, unless you have something else you'd
No, go
like
right
to get
ahead,
into.
Paul. What's your topic?
I'm involved with Leadership Monroe, and last week, a couple weeks ago, we had Mental Health and Awareness Day, and something that touched my heart and bothered me was this whole sex trafficking thing in America, and how devastating it is for families. And we learned a lot about statistics, and it woke me up to really be a little more careful where my kids go, and even in general areas, keeping a better eye on them. But the statistics were really mind-boggling too. It's an $18 billion industry right now in America for sex trafficking kids.
And Toledo's right up there on the list in terms of trafficking.
Yeah,
and
so
they keep battling that in Toledo.
Yeah, so it's bothered me so much where we're going to be doing our town hall meeting this Tuesday on it, and I highly recommend Tressa Duffin from State Police is going to be there doing a PowerPoint presentation, 6 o'clock this Tuesday on it. It gives you awareness to what's going on. It's a sickening thing. It's disgusting, but you can't ignore it.
Right. Well, I know there's even several colleges and other groups that are actually doing training so that if you're at a place to where you can maybe see somebody who's in distress, or somebody who's trying to give you some kind of notification that I'm having a problem here, Yeah. So it is a problem throughout the United States.
And that's whether or not, do we call the hotline or do we call
Correct.
911? So there's different, there's a lot to learn there. But this is, there's some pretty crazy, the average pimp makes $300,000 a year off one kid. It's pretty disgusting and bothersome. So I've taken the initiative to really do what I can do from my level to bring awareness to Bedford Township and Monroe County to say, hey, it's time to wake up, keep your eyes out, because the people that work for like Consumers and Buckeye and all these different companies that are in the neighborhoods, they're the people that really need to keep their eyes out and be aware of what's going on and in their surroundings. So, do you have anything you'd like to add to this topic? It's kind of an interesting one.
It is interesting. Toledo's number one, by the way.
Or they are. I thought they were like fourth.
The state of Michigan's number two.
Okay.
The whole state.
And there's a reason why that is.
Yeah. So basically, what we have here is Detroit Metro Airport. Okay. So you can bring in from Detroit Metro Airport and be at the Turnpike within an hour or hour and a half.
Right.
And that gets you anywhere you want to go. 89, east, west, anywhere you want to go. So it becomes a huge problem. They come in a lot of times through Canada. They come whatever. Right.
So we have a very good corridor.
We have a great corridor to do that. And if you look at the I-75 corridor, there's some big vacant kind of parking lot areas close to the Ohio-Michigan line. By the time somebody gets tipped off of it, they're in another state. And then they get to the Turnpike, they can get right on, they're already mobile. So this becomes a very big hotbed for that type of crime. And it's interesting I heard a story, this is a few years ago, I was at an event, and a lady gave her story about what happened with her. She was at a party, she took a drink of something, got knocked out. Next day, somebody showed up to her locker with a bunch of pictures of her in positions. Wow. And said, I'm going to go public with this unless you do what I tell you. Her fear from her parents and her reputation, right, went crazy. So what was happening was at night, 11:30 midnight, I think she said, or later, 1 maybe, she'd climb out her parents' window, meet the car out front, and they'd bring her back in time before her parents woke up to go to work. For years.
That's terrible.
For years.
Horrible.
And it took a while for people to notice her change, like her behavior change, her schoolwork change. But again, if she's fluffing it off as this or that,
she's being held hostage.
She's held hostage, and that's how that works.
And the average life expectancy once you start into sex traffic is 7 years.
Yeah. So it's a big deal.
Yeah, it's also an international problem.
Yeah.
Because they've had people from like Eastern Europe where they've promised girls, you're going to be a model, come on over, and then all of a sudden they find out the world changes.
Well, internationally, it's a $60 billion industry.
Yes.
When you think about that, $60 billion, it's unreal.
So the real problem, and it's like this with heroin in a way, right? Is you gotta snuff out the big guy, right? I can fight all day raiding a house and getting one or two guys that aren't the big players in heroin. It doesn't stop the spread. you got to find out where's the top of that behemoth,
Right.
and how do you slice its head off. And that's always going to be a tricky thing because they come from all over the world, right? So the best thing that a citizen can do, and the best thing that I think, with you guys having the town hall coming up on it, right, would just have citizen awareness of behavior. And let law enforcement then track that behavior,
Exactly.
and then find who's kind of the kingpin of it.
And that's when you call the hotline.
Yeah.
911, a hotline would be like he just said, that seems kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
Let them know what's going on. They'll investigate it. 911 is in the case where you see a girl running across the street out of a car trying to escape. Obviously, so that's just, there's a lot of things to learn like that.
Well, it's like Mantis, right? So if you have drug activity or stuff going on, you can call Mantis, and it's completely anonymous tip, and then they will go ahead and investigate. It's just it's something that's going to continue until somebody slices the head off the beast. I mean, that's just a reality of what.
And then we have to deal with the whole cybersecurity side of it, where somebody's on the other side of a computer luring your child.
Right.
Get them to the mall, whatever, and then next thing you know, they're not the person they claim to be.
Well, that was what Tressa said. One of the major problems is these sites that these kids are on. People know where your kids are on the computer. Make sure that you have awareness of what they're doing, where they're at. It's.
We ever seen the show Catfish?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
It's interesting to watch the television show because you sit back as a Monday morning quarterback and say, how can somebody think that person that they're talking to is the real person that they're talking to?
Manti Te'o, the guy from Notre Dame got
right,
caught
but
up
they
in
just
that.
don't. They just get caught up in it in a reality, and that's what's happening with kids. So obviously, it takes for parents to be vigilant on not allowing their children to have just free reign access to whatever. I know you guys like the Facebook Lives and do all that stuff, which is great. I personally, to me, I have staff and others that run that because I don't want to.
Because I'm way up here and you guys are way down. Is that what you're trying to
Yes. No, because I've seen you post a post about roundabouts.
Right.
3,000 comments, and it showed cars careening over.
Right, exactly.
And I'm like, why would Paul post that? Because everybody is going to talk about this roundabout killing everybody in Bedford Township.
Why do we have to drive around in a circle to make a turn?
I mean, the best was the comment where the guy showed it jumping the middle of the roundabout car, like the you know what I mean? I'm like, what are we doing?
Well, I tell you
That's
what,
why.
though, I did get about 7 new concepts of how it should look.
Well, of course you did. Of course you did. We talk about Facebook, right? And I've talked to you guys about it. I've talked to Commissioner Moore about it. It's like they always ask me about my posts. My posts are very simple. I don't try to get into a lot of only because it creates this environment. All of a sudden, now you're getting in conversations. You're getting bogged down. It could take up 10 hours of your day just looking, especially what you guys post. It could take up 10 hours of your day trying to respond to everything, and it's impossible.
Well, people get hooked on it, but the other thing with the human trafficking, what happens, and people don't realize this, they start posting a lot of pictures of their family, where they're at, where they're going, and so on, where their kids are at. Oh, look, my kid's over here today. Well, that lets somebody who's just scrolling, like, whoa, there's a potential
Well, do you
target
remember the GPSs you used to put in your car, the separate ones?
Oh, yeah.
The townhouse stuff? They bust in, take your GPS, find your home address.
Exactly.
They know you're at a restaurant for at least an hour and a half.
Right.
Boom, they show up.
There's professionals on Facebook, so you scumbags that are out there trolling on these kids, they're watching you. They're going to bust you.
And roundabouts are not the end of the world.
That's right. You can get out of them.
I think we're getting ready to go to commercial break.